My wealthy ex-fiancé assumed that since he paid for my lifestyle, he could control every aspect of my life. When I broke off the engagement, he canceled all my cards and smirked, "Without me, you're nothing." At his wedding to my replacement, I walked up to the bride and said, "Before you say I do, let's talk about his secret bankruptcies." For context, I'm a woman in my mid-30s, based in Chicago. I work in interior design. The guy in the story, let's call him Bradley, was my ex-fiancé. He was rich. Not kind of rich. Rich, rich. Trust fund. Family real estate money. That kind of rich. When we met, I thought I had found someone solid. Someone who knew what he wanted, who could offer me the stability I never had growing up. I wasn't looking for a sugar daddy, but I won't lie, being with him came with benefits. And I convinced myself that meant it was love. Turns out, it was just control dressed up as generosity. I met Bradley at an art event in West Loop. He was charming. Polished. Knew exactly what to say and when. He complimented my dress, my taste, even my career. I remember thinking, finally, a guy who gets it. He took me out to fancy places I'd only ever seen on Yelp. His condo had a view of the lake and an in-home sauna. Our second date was a helicopter ride. Third was a trip to Miami. 3 months in, he asked me to move in. I hesitated. He said he wanted to take care of me. Told me to pause my freelance work, that I didn't need to worry about money anymore. You focus on what makes you happy, he said. So I stopped working. I told my clients I'd be back eventually. I thought he meant it. The first changes were small. He didn't like my makeup style, said I looked better, natural. He didn't like when I wore jeans. Said they weren't elegant. Then it became about friends. I had to let go of a couple guy friends I'd known since college. He called them disrespectful to our relationship. Then came the rules. He set a schedule for me. Said it helped him feel connected to me. I had to check in when I went out. If I wanted to buy something, I needed to ask him first. Even if it was with the credit cards he gave me. I had no personal bank account anymore. Just the ones he set up. He said it was simpler that way. If I questioned anything, he'd twist it. Made me feel like I was overreacting. Ungrateful. I started questioning my own instincts. I stopped dressing the way I used to. I stopped speaking up in conversations with his friends because he'd correct me afterward. I lost weight. I lost confidence. I lost myself. He proposed in Paris. Big, flashy moment. Eiffel Tower. Photographer hidden nearby. The whole thing felt like it was meant for Instagram. I said yes because saying no felt dangerous. I don't mean that he would hit me, he never did, but the emotional pressure was constant. Like he always had the upper hand. When we got back home, the wedding planning began. He hired a luxury planner without asking me. Picked a date without checking if my family could travel. Everything had to be perfect. Which meant everything had to be his way. At one point, I mentioned wanting to include a small Polish tradition in the ceremony. He called it low class. Told me this wasn't that kind of wedding. I missed working. Missed having something that was mine. So I updated my resume one night on my old laptop. I didn't even send anything out, just saved the file. He found it the next day. I still don't know how. He lost it. Full-blown shouting match. Told me I was being sneaky, ungrateful, said I was disrespecting everything he'd given me. And then he said it, "Without me, you're nothing." He said it cold. With a smirk. That was it. I felt something break inside me. Not just anger. Clarity. I waited 2 days. Then I packed my things while he was out and left. I moved in with my best friend, Nina. She picked me up with 2 bottles of wine and a hug that lasted 10 minutes. Bradley didn't take it well. He canceled all the credit cards I had. No warning. I found out at a grocery store with a cart full of food. Had the car, also in his name, repossessed from the driveway at Nina's house. Froze the joint savings account. Left me a voicemail saying, "You'll be back. No one else will ever take care of you like I did." He was right. No one else would take care of me like that. Because real love doesn't feel like being owned. I had to start over. Got a job at a small design firm in Logan Square. Moved into a shared apartment. Took on side gigs to make rent. I cut my hair. Changed my number. Bit by bit, I rebuilt. Meanwhile, Bradley started dating again. It didn't take long. I saw it on Instagram. He had a new girlfriend. Younger. Blonde. Fashion student. Let's call her Chloe. The posts were nonstop. Gifts, getaways, designer bags. Deja vu. They were engaged 6 months later. Guess what? I got a wedding invite. From a mutual friend who accidentally included me in the email list. I left. Deleted it. But then I remembered something. Something big. While living with Bradley, I had seen things. One night, he passed out after too much wine. I was trying to find the remote in his office and came across a folder on his desk. It was open. Court documents. Debt. Lawsuits. Turns out, his empire wasn't an empire. It was a pile of shell companies and loans used to pay off other loans. One LLC had declared bankruptcy already, and 2 others were being sued for non-payment by contractors. He had told me it was normal business stuff. I didn't say anything at the time, but I took pictures, backed up the files to a USB. Something told me I might need them someday. That someday showed up wearing a white wedding dress. It was a Saturday. The venue was the Chicago Botanic Garden. I knew because Chloe posted everything: location, date, even her shoes. I put on a black dress and walked in like I belonged. I didn't speak to anyone. Just sat near the back. They were mid-ceremony. The officiant got to the part: if anyone has any reason why these two should not be joined. People usually laugh. No one expects anyone to say anything. I stood up, walked straight down the aisle. Calm. Slow. Every head turned. I made eye contact with Chloe first. Then Bradley. He turned white. Stone cold. And I said, before you say, I do, maybe you should know about the bankruptcies. Plural. The second those words left my mouth, the bankruptcies. Plural. You could feel the air change. It was like the entire garden froze. Someone in the back gasped. Chloe looked at me like she couldn't process what I was saying. Then she looked at Bradley. He didn't say a word. Not, what are you talking about? Nothing. Just stared at me, tight-lipped, like a man trying not to explode. I reached into my bag and pulled out the envelope. I brought copies, I said, holding it out toward Chloe. She didn't take it. Not right away. But she didn't walk away either. She just stood there, bouquet trembling in her hand. Finally, her sister stepped forward and took the papers. Opened them. Flipped through them. Her face changed real quick. Let me make this clear. I didn't do this because I hated Chloe. I didn't even know her. I did it because she deserved the truth. And because Bradley thought he could throw me away and walk into the next woman's life like nothing ever happened. I wasn't going to let that happen. The officiant was frozen. The wedding planner looked like she wanted to crawl under a bush. Bradley finally spoke. Voice calm, but shaking. This is my crazy ex. She's lying. She's trying to ruin our day. I laughed. Out loud. You think I'd print fake legal documents and crash a wedding just to make a scene? You forget who you used to sleep next to. I know what you're hiding. Security? He turned to someone, maybe a cousin or a groomsman, and snapped, get her out. Before they could move, Chloe stepped between us. Don't touch her, she said. Her voice was quiet but solid. I want to hear this. Bradley was fuming. His hands were clenched. You could see the red in his face, the little vein in his forehead pulsing. Chloe looked at the papers. Then she asked the one question that changed everything. Is any of this true? Bradley didn't answer. And that silence? That was all she needed. She took off the ring. Just slid it off her finger and held it in her hand. Then she turned and walked away. So I thought that was it. I'd come in, delivered the truth, and that was the end. Wrong. The next day, I got a message from a guy named Tom. He said he was Bradley's old business partner. Said he left the company 2 years ago because Bradley was pulling shady moves. He thanked me for what I did. Then he asked if I'd be willing to talk. Turns out, Tom had been building a case. Quietly. Collecting evidence. Because Bradley didn't just lie to me or Chloe. He'd been lying to investors. Moving money between companies. Faking documents. Inflating values on properties he didn't even own. Tom had emails, spreadsheets, and 3 ex-employees willing to testify. He just needed a few final pieces. Like the ones on my USB. I didn't say yes right away. I wanted to think. Then 2 days later, something happened that made up my mind for me. I got a letter. Not a text. Not a voicemail. A full-blown, typed-out letter delivered to my work address. No signature. Just, you made a mistake. Keep pushing and you'll regret it. At first, I was scared. I won't lie. My hands shook. I didn't tell my boss, but I forwarded the letter to Nina and Tom. Tom responded instantly. Let me handle this. He's scared. That's when it clicked. Bradley wasn't powerful anymore. He was desperate. Scrambling. Trying to hold on to the image he built. And that image was cracking fast. Tom and I met for coffee in Hyde Park. Real casual, public spot. I gave him the rest of what I had. In return, he told me something that floored me. Bradley hadn't just filed for bankruptcy under his companies. He tried to do it under someone else's name once. His dead uncle's. Forged signatures. Got caught, paid a fine, and somehow kept it off public record by settling. He was that kind of man. Tom said they were going to the state attorney next. That this could turn criminal. Meanwhile, on Instagram, Chloe deleted all her wedding photos. Then she posted a black and white photo of a wine glass, captioned, dodged a diamond-encrusted bullet. The comments were wild. Everyone knew. The wedding guests had seen it all. Some were even messaging me privately, thanking me for being brave. It was surreal. Just a year ago, I was crying into a bottle of wine on Nina's couch, wondering how I'd survive. Now, people were calling me a hero. But I wasn't done yet. Not even close. Because Bradley wasn't going to sit back and take the hit. He was going to come at me harder. And I was ready. So after the wedding disaster, after Chloe left, after the anonymous threat showed up at my job, I was already on high alert. Tom had my files. He was working with 2 lawyers and an investigator. I thought I could finally step back and let the legal side take over. I was wrong. Because Bradley wasn't done. He had one more card to play. A week after everything blew up, I got a random email. From a high-end design firm in NYC. The kind of firm I dreamed of working with back when I was still building my career. They said they were expanding to Chicago. Said they'd seen my portfolio online. Said they were very impressed. Offered a ridiculous salary. Like, more than double what I was making. It felt too good to be true. Because it was. I did some digging. The firm was real. But the person who'd contacted me didn't exist. Their name wasn't on the website. The email domain was 1 letter off from the actual company's domain. I called the firm directly. Asked if this person worked there. They said, who? That's when I knew. Bradley was phishing. He wanted access to my info. Maybe my bank account. Maybe just to get me somewhere isolated. I don't know. But it was him. That same night, I got a password reset request for my Gmail. Then 2-factor requests. Then a weird login from somewhere in Florida. I locked everything down. Changed passwords. Set up every layer of security Google offers. Then I called Nina and cried. Not because I was scared this time, but because I was tired. So tired of this man reaching into my life, even now, even after I'd already exposed him. Nina didn't miss a beat. She said, then let's go public. I emailed a local business reporter I used to work with on a staging project. Told her I had something she might want to look into. I didn't use Bradley's name in the email, just explained that a high-profile real estate developer was involved in bankruptcy fraud, shady shell companies, and had just had his wedding blown up in public. She responded in less than an hour. Let's meet. We met in Lincoln Park. I brought a printed packet. She took one look and said, we'll need legal to approve this, but if even half of this checks out, this could blow up. I wasn't even trying to get revenge anymore. I just wanted it to stop. Yep. Bradley filed a civil suit. Defamation. Emotional distress. Loss of business. He claimed I lied. That I had made up everything. That I had sabotaged a legitimate business venture and caused emotional trauma to his fiancé. He filed it in Florida, where he'd moved after the wedding. Probably thought I wouldn't want to travel or fight it. Tom and his lawyer jumped in immediately. They filed to dismiss. Filed a motion to counterclaim. Provided evidence. Emails. Receipts. Bank transfers. They even subpoenaed his assistant, who had plenty to say about how Bradley handled money. Or didn't. Then came the wildest part. Chloe reached out. She asked if we could talk. Said she had something to give me. We met at a small cafe in Wicker Park. She looked free. Like someone who had escaped a burning building. She pulled out a thumb drive. This was in the apartment. I found it after I left. It's his. It had folders. Labeled things like backdoor vendors, unfiled tax notes, legal fire folder. It had emails. Contracts. Names I'd never seen. Even a fake invoice template. I sent everything straight to Tom. And Chloe? She said one more thing before we left. I know I was the replacement. But thank you for not letting me end up married to a fraud. 2 weeks later, one of Bradley's companies, one that was still operating under his cousin's name, got a visit from federal agents. I didn't hear the full story. But someone on Reddit posted about a real estate office being raided near Coral Gables. The photos showed people in suits, boxes being carried out. One of the photos, barely visible, but I swear I saw Bradley in the background. Tom called me that night. We may not even need to file the federal charges ourselves. It's happening on its own. I got another message. This one was from a block number. A photo. It was me. At my office. Through a window. That day. Captioned, "You're not untouchable." After that last message, the photo of me at my job, captioned, "You're not untouchable," I realized something. This wasn't just about pride or public image anymore. Bradley was unraveling. He'd lost control over the people he used to own. First me. Then Chloe. Then his staff. Now he was lashing out the only way he knew how, by trying to scare me back into silence. I wasn't scared. But I was angry. So I decided to make the next move. The courthouse hearing for the civil suit got scheduled, ironically, on what would have been our wedding anniversary. I didn't have to show up. Tom's lawyers had it handled. But I went anyway. Sat in the back row of the courtroom, in a plain gray dress, hair pulled back. No makeup. just there to watch. Bradley walked in smug, like this was all some kind of game. Designer suit, new Rolex, fresh haircut. Still trying to sell the fantasy. But when he saw me, he stopped walking. For half a second, he looked human. Small. Tom was already there with his legal team. Chloe sat next to him. Bradley saw her and almost flinched. He hadn't known she'd be there. The judge went through the motions to dismiss, evidence lists, statements. Then something happened no one expected. Chloe asked to speak. She stood. Calm. Clear. I was engaged to Mr. Bradley, she said. I've seen the documents submitted here. I've also submitted additional evidence I found in our shared apartment, emails, financial records, and communications that prove intent to deceive both me and his investors. Bradley jumped up. She's lying. She's bitter. She's just trying to get back at me because she's embarrassed. Chloe didn't even look at him. I'm not bitter. I'm lucky. I almost married a man who sees people as possessions, who hides behind money and silence. And when he can't control you, he tries to destroy you. Gasps in the courtroom. Even the court clerk looked stunned. Bradley's lawyer put a hand on his arm to sit him down, but he shook him off. He pointed at me. You think you're some hero? You don't know what you're doing. You destroyed everything. I stood up. You destroyed it yourself. I just brought a flashlight. The judge recessed the hearing. Bradley stormed out of the courtroom. Cameras were waiting. Someone had tipped off a local news crew. Reporters shouted questions. He shoved past them. Meanwhile, his lawyer quietly asked for a postponement. Tom's lawyers filed a motion to countersue for harassment and damages. The next day, the story hit the press. Headlines read, real estate developer accused of fraud, ex-fiancé and former partner come forward. The article had quotes from Chloe, a statement from me, and enough details to make sure this wouldn't quietly disappear. That night, Bradley called me. Blocked number. I picked up. You happy now? He said. His voice cracked. No, I said. But I'm done being scared. Silence. Then he said something I'll never forget. You were the only one who really knew me. And now everyone else does too. A week later, he dropped the civil suit. Probably on advice from his legal team. Another of his companies filed for bankruptcy. Again, the SEC started sniffing around. So did the IRS. Chloe moved out of state. She's doing nonprofit work now. Tom's company is growing fast. He offered me a role consulting on their new office space. I said yes. And me? I stayed in Chicago. I got promoted. I found a small, quiet apartment with big windows. I adopted a rescue cat. Her name is Ghost because she follows me around silently like she's watching my back. I still have the ring Bradley gave me. Not because I miss him, but because one day I'm going to sell it and take myself somewhere beautiful. Alone. There are days I wonder how close I came to disappearing into someone else's life. To waking up one day and realizing I wasn't myself anymore. Just someone's version of me. I'm not perfect. I stayed longer than I should have. I ignored signs. I let myself shrink for someone else's comfort. But when I finally walked away, I did it with the truth. And I told that truth when it mattered most. People think revenge is fire and drama and smashing things. Sometimes, revenge is just refusing to stay silent.